Hello, hola, bonjour. Tune in every Tuesday to the Dear God podcast.
¿Y qué pasó?
Nah, we talking like it's 1995. Let go of that Wi-Fi. Let's laugh and cry, but never say goodbye.
Primos y primas, que lo que, and welcome, bienvenidos to the Dear God, Are We There Yet, the podcast con tu prima favorita. Soy Alicia Sanchez, and yes, this podcast is bilingual. Bueno, yo trato de hacer eso, pero anyways, I usually have this whole intro spiel, ¿cómo se dice eso? But I have not memorized it yet, unfortunately, and I wanted to do this podcast because I am inspired, and that's exactly what this podcast is about today, is inspiration and the 5 ways that we can inspire not ourselves, just ourselves, but also inspiring ourselves through inspiring other people. Oh my God, pero qué bocona. A mouthful, like a mouthful of words. So I wanted to make this podcast about just these top 5 things that maybe you think about, maybe you've done, maybe you do, and you would be surprised that the way that you inspire other people, you inspire yourself, and you realize like, wow, that moment I needed that, or if somebody does it to you, you're like, I needed that moment, or I remember that moment. On social media, I put out a whole bunch of questions and, stories like, tell me this, tell me that. And I really wanted you guys to join the conversation. So there's a link in my bio in Instagram, and then you can join the conversation and stay tuned because there's a point and there's a reason for that conversation. Real quick, don't forget I'll be in Del Rey, Beach Del Rey. Yo vengo pa' ti for my first Dear God IRL. And if you want me to come to your city or your state or, I'm trying not to do it too much virtually. So even if I do these all next year, whatever, but I'm trying to be in real life because I feel like we kind of lose that. And, everything is done online, and sometimes you just need a little bit of like in person. So yeah, tune in. I'm going to give you the 5 cinco ways to keep inspiring other people. All right, so here we go. Los cincos. The first one I want to talk about is reaching high for your, whatever you want to do, and having like a positive or possible attitude. Not even a positive. Let me reframe that. Possible attitude. I remember growing up, it's so crazy because I used to be an ESOL, right? English as a second language. And of course, you're in this class and, they're telling you, yeah, you don't worry, you can pronounce the word. Es porque yo hablo enredado. I was an ESOL. They're like, you could do it. Everything is possible. Like, think of it this way and da-da-da-da. And it's so crazy because even from my ESOL teacher, she wasn't thinking, like, she was being positive, yes, but she was more so giving me this possibility attitude. The possibility that it is possible, that it's not impossible to learn English. It's not impossible to pronounce the words or read or whatever the case is. Like, sometimes when we are doing something, we feel like, oh, we always need to be positive. But sometimes you have to be realistic with things, right? So you default to either, all right, well, we know this is a lot of roadblocks right here. So sometimes it's not, positivity is not what it's needed, but possibility is what's needed. So the next time someone is telling you something that they want to do, like, how can you have for your own self, if you were in their shoes, to give them what's that called, that possible attitude, that possibility, that attitude that, that things are possible, that things can work out and it could, it come to fruition. So that's the first thing I want to say. The second one I want to say is feedback, right? So we all get feedback, and, we forget that when someone wants to hear our honest opinion, we feel like, oh, I got to keep it real. So, I'm going to just tell it to them how it is. And it's like, okay, that's great. You could tell them how it is, but let's start with being respectful, because how you respect someone is can be motivating and inspiring all in one, because you know that maybe something might not, it doesn't look good, or you want to tell your friends how it is, or your family member how it is, and you're like, oh, they need to hear it. I have that attitude sometimes. Like, I'm like, yo le voy a decir como sea, right? I always have that attitude. Like, I'm going to tell them how it is, and da 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 da. And I'm like, but maybe that I need to respect that. Whatever they decide to do, whether they're going to listen to me or not, I have to be respectful that this is their situation and this is their decisions, and I can only give my little 2 cents. And I love the fact that I am inspired when people give me their feedback about something, especially, my writing, because I used to be so tenía miedo de escribir, because, writing was like, English is my second language. A lot of people don't really understand this. They think like I'm bullshitting, but I'm really not. It really is. And when I got feedback, it was like, I love the fact that they were respectful of my words, of what I wanted to say. And they were not trying to sugarcoat, because they were keeping it real with me, but they were respectful in my process. They were respectful instead of putting me down, or whatever the case is. So remember, you deliver your feedback with respect, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing, which brings me into treating people equally. You better leave that privilege at the door, okay? A mí no me importa qué clase de privilege tú tienes, si es blanco, negro, lo que sea. Like, leave the privilege at the door, because we all need to be treated equally. It's so inspiring when you see the good things that happen in the world, the good things that happen with just, people in higher positions, or not higher positions, but in politics, I'll say, for example. And I'm not really even big on that. But it's inspiring to know that although they feel a certain way, they treat everyone equally. They treat everyone, with the same respect, with the same love, to inspire that we don't have to all agree on the same things, but we do have to, understand that it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter, leave that privilege at the door. Leave that high head at the door, and póngate como todo el mundo, igual, So that brings me to share your tribe, man. What's more inspiring is when someone asks me, like, Alicia, I want to open up a business. I want to do this. Like, help me out. Or I'm part of a nonprofit, Project Elevate. We help build schools and stuff, and refurbish, of course, this existing school in Haiti. And I love when people are like, hey, I need this, I need that. And I'm in the process of opening up my own nonprofit, but do you think I'm going to be like, no, this is all for me? No, share your tribe, man. Like, be equal, with the same fact that, like, share your networks. And you know how inspiring that is when someone say that you're open to giving people information, or your networks. Whenever someone needs anything from me, as far as like business or whatever, I share my networks. I share my knowledge. I share my creativity. I don't keep it housed into my own little self, and I think that, oh my God, only me can have this. No, that is the beauty of inspiration, when you can share and just be like, okay, not a problem. And my last but not least is transparency. Admit your flaws. Admit, we see this all the time in, social media and all that stuff. And even being a mom now, I'm like, how do these women do it, where they, they're not portraying this transparency. Admit your flaws. Whenever I talk on this podcast, whenever I do my YouTube channels, whenever I do that, like, I tell people, I failed so much and I've succeeded so much. And I've equally learned that it's okay to talk about your success, but it's okay to say, coño, yo estoy en la mala hoy. Like, I'm horrible at this. I'm not good at this. I need to work on this. Instead of having that little voice saying I'm not good at something all the time, this is something that I struggle with, or this is something that I've been through. Being transparent in your struggle, in your life, makes you real, and it makes you yours. And it doesn't mean you have to live there. It just means that you respect the fact that you're open to sharing that with everybody. So I hope this week and today, mañana, lo que sea. I hope you continue to inspire people. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Dear God, Are We There Yet? The podcast. And tell me, what are some things that you do that inspire other people, or what people inspire? How do they inspire you? All right, que lo que. Bye.